Two people find themselves trapped in a strange place with stolen money. An endless heist. They were badly stuck there. The film begins at a bar, where a man named Joseph is waiting for his sister Sydney. In reality, they stole $7 million. The police are after them, so they needed to hide for some time. Sydney did this because she was in debt. She wanted to give her daughter a better life with this money. Joseph had a plan. He says, "I once met a woman. She has a house in the nearby village. That house has been vacant for a long time. We can hide there. When everything settles down, we will return to our old lives and live a better life with the stolen money. It's just a matter of a few days." They were talking about this when suddenly they hear the police sirens. So they leave the bar and head to the nearby forest, where they change clothes and throw their old belongings into the pond. They had guns, and now they head towards that house. Sydney had a lot of trust in her brother. Well, soon they reached near the fields. As they passed through the fields, they heard gunshots. When they got near the house, they saw 3 girls having fun there. They were target shooting. Sydney comes out with a gun and tells them to leave. The boys were not intimidated by Sydney. But as Joseph comes from the other side and fires a shot, those guys run away. Joseph tells Sydney that they should go inside quickly, and with that, they enter the house. The house was quite old. It seemed like no one had lived there for a long time. Things were scattered, and there was dirt on the floor. Now let me tell you that the person who gave Joseph this house also revealed its secret. The secret was that time travel happens in this house. That is, a person can go to any time, like the past or the future. Not only that, but a person can also be sent to another world. Joseph thought that if they spent some time here, perhaps the traces of the theft would disappear. Now Joseph was given instructions, meaning he was told some important things. There were 2 old clocks in the house whose time needed to be set according to the instructions given. Just then, the sound of police sirens is heard. Sydney tells Joseph to run, but Joseph says they need to go to the basement. The door will only open with the combination of the clocks. That means the way we turn the clock hands will open the door. They quickly set the clock combination, and after the basement door opened, they went down swiftly. They felt like the police had entered and were searching the house. Joseph opens an old diary and tells Sydney to dial a specific number on the telephone. Sydney picks up the phone, and after dialing the number, she says 3 strange words that were actually a code word. Suddenly darkness fell all around, and everything became quiet. When they came out of the basement, they saw that the layout of the house had completely changed. All the things were in place. The house looked new, as if someone was living there, because they had actually time traveled to a new time when this house was new. Joseph follows the diary's instructions and turns the clock in a room back again. Sydney was surprised. She couldn't believe that this was all really happening. But it is also true that both are fools. Whoever sent them to this house is not here himself. This means there is something else that is very dangerous. Now Joseph explains to her that this place is completely safe for us now, but on one condition: we have to stay here for 14 days. Then we will return to our timeline, where everything will be calm. Both are happy, thinking that at least no one will come looking for us here, right? The kitchen was also full of food supplies. Records and movies were lying on the table for their pastime. On the first day, both just rest. Then the next day, Joseph went for a walk nearby, not far from the house, because this house had a limit, a boundary they could not cross. Joseph was informed about this. Sydney found some clothes in the house. The stuff in the house was a bit strange. There were old items as well as modern new ones. But for now, it didn't matter to them because they just had to hide. In the evening, both cook food. Later, they count and keep track of the money. They had to record everything. Sydney looks at her daughter's picture and reassures herself that everything will be alright. Days passed by. 13 days passed by like this. One night, they were talking about some antique item, which was valuable and old, present in the house. Then they start talking about their past lives. It turned out that their past wasn't so great. From the conversation, it seemed like Joseph never supported or spent time with his sister. But both siblings are happy to be together today. Then they start reminiscing about their mom and dad. Sydney remembers a tune from a song she heard in her childhood, and it was her mother's favorite song. But just like that, 2 weeks pass. They were happy that they would be leaving from here. Sydney was anxious to return to her daughter. Both start cleaning the house and Joseph burns all the trash. Now, just as they had followed instructions in the basement before and entered a different timeline, they had to follow some instructions to return to their timeline. That's why they head towards the basement. But they were shocked when they saw that someone had closed the basement door. They find out that there's a church and a mill nearby. There was a message written on the door. If you want to go back, go to the old mill. Seeing this, Sydney panics and runs towards the mill without thinking. Joseph follows her and tries to calm her down. When they went inside the mill, they were very surprised. There was a church set up, as if it had been used for religious purposes at some point. There was a corpse there, which was in a very bad condition. Beside the corpse, there was a wooden stand, and it had written on it that you are trapped in a time loop. If you are ready to stay here, sign below. Sydney panics after seeing all this. She refuses to sign the document and runs out of the mill without thinking. Now, as I mentioned, there is a limit to this house beyond which they cannot go. That's why when Sydney tries to cross it, she starts vomiting blood and falls unconscious. When she regains consciousness, Joseph has already brought her inside, so both understood that they cannot leave this place. After fully regaining consciousness, Sydney angrily shouts because she escaped one problem only to be trapped in another. Knowing all this made her even angrier and more surprised when Joseph told her that the corpse they saw in the mill actually belonged to the woman who sent them here, and it was her house. Both understood that there is no way to escape from here. And now Joseph signs the document, and as soon as he writes his name, a safe suddenly appears there. Then Joseph uses his old diary to input the safe's code. Inside the safe, there was a tape recorder and a small note. The note said, "Say something and then close the safe. Your words will create a connection, a kind of link." Joseph opens the safe, says hello, and then closes it. A minute later, when he plays the tape recorder, they hear the voice of an unknown man. The voice tells Joseph that you shouldn't be here but should go back home. Now, whoever it was, they knew everything about both of them. About the theft, about escaping from here, everything. Sydney tries to talk to him. She felt that the man wanted a share of the money. Sydney was even ready for this. She just wanted to get out of here somehow. But on the other hand, whoever it was had no interest in money. Joseph thinks that this voice is from someone from the future or perhaps another universe. But now these people were completely trapped. Sydney opens the safe once again. This time, when they talk, the voice says, "If you want to get out alive, you'll have to kill a person." Hearing this, both are shocked. Sydney asks, "Which person?" The voice says, "A stranger who will come here. You'll have to kill him. You will have to erase his traces. Only then will you be able to return to your world. We were able to track you but couldn't track him. We don't know which era he's in, at what time he entered. If you kill him, you can return to your timeline. But if you don't kill him, your existence in that timeline will be erased. No one can say when this stranger will show up or when he might attack. But one day he will surely come to kill you, that we can say." Knowing all this, both return inside the house and plan how to deal with these circumstances. Both hide some weapons around because they don't know when, where, or how that stranger will attack. They were ready to keep a constant watch. Many months pass, but no one comes. They couldn't even leave this place. Yes, but the good thing was that every time the food would be new, because everything is in a loop. If the fridge gets empty, closing and reopening, it would fill it with food again. Now those people they talked to are controlling this place, and a major experimental project was going on here. One day, Sydney tried to learn the history of this house. Looking at old documents and photos, she explains that all this stuff has been collected. This does not belong to the owner of the house. Everything is from different eras. After 1955, there was no owner of this house. Joseph was also upset that they were being treated as test subjects in an experiment. They hadn't talked to that man again for quite some time. Joseph goes to the mill every day, tries to hear his voice on the tape recorder, but he gets no response. A few months later, while Sydney was on guard outside, the unknown person arrived. He was watching Sydney through binoculars. Before he shoots Sydney, Joseph yells. This alerts Sydney, and she quickly runs inside the house. He kept shooting repeatedly, but his aim was missing. They fight again, and the unknown person injures Joseph and takes him to the mill. But he remains completely silent. Now he also wanted Joseph to talk to those people for him and inform those controlling this place that Joseph killed the unknown man. When they ask for evidence, Joseph lies that it was very cold. I couldn't find his body. But they understood that he was lying. At this time, Sydney was at home. A safe arrived there too. They tell Sydney that we don't know who he is, but he's neither you nor Joseph, meaning he is not some future version of you. He's not your parents either. But whoever he is, you have to kill him. When this unknown person entered the house, Sydney fought him. And when she removed his mask, Sydney was shocked because it was none other than her daughter. Meanwhile, Joseph also arrived, and by then Sydney's daughter had hidden her face. He wanted to kill her too. But Sydney was trying to stop Joseph. But he fired the shot. Now Sydney stepped in front to save her daughter's life. Then the bullet hit her, and she was about to die. And she couldn't tell Joseph that she's my daughter. And then she got the chance to escape from there. And Sydney gets killed. Joseph was very sad about his sister's death. Later, he buried her body. Then he contacts those people and started requesting, please send me back to my time so I can correct my mistake. Please give me one last chance. So those people agree and send Joseph back to that time. On the day she was going to come to this house with stolen money. And now Joseph goes back in the past, far back in time, kills his real form, and then brings his sister back here. But even this time, he accidentally kills his sister, and this happens not just once but several times repeatedly. Many years pass like this, where in the loop Sydney comes to the bar once again. We see that Joseph has become quite old. He tells Sydney, I tried very hard to save you, but every time I accidentally kill you. This will keep happening repeatedly because of the loop. There's only one solution left, and that is for you to kill me, leave the money, and go back to your daughter. Never go to that house because this is the past where you are alive. If you don't go to that house now, everything can be stopped, which will close the loop. He forces her so much that Sydney shoots and kills him, but as the siren sounds, she runs away from there. Meaning that this cycle will repeat again. This will keep happening over and over again. Meaning she will come to this house again, and an endless loop will be activated once more. Now we learn that those people had created this place because they knew a lot and were controlling everything. Since 1955, experiments have been conducted here. That's why various items were scattered there. Besides, there were many time-traveling houses here where different people were present. And with this, the story of the movie ends here.